This is going to be an interesting video. So it's going to be a little bit more technical than it normally is. But I feel like it's important to kind of explain how I'm seeing a lot of the problems and why I've positioned some of my thoughts the way that I have, is the best way I can probably describe it. So when it comes to balancing out creativity and AI and technology, I think it's a hard problem to solve. So let me back up a little bit. I grew up, I would consider myself still young, and then I'm starting to notice that aging is starting to happen in like the weirdest way. Where I remember things that happened in technology when I was a kid, and certain generations have no idea that happened, and other generations are like, yeah, are you kidding me? You were just a kid when that happened. So being caught in the middle sometimes is a little bit weird, but let me go a little bit back. So I remember Microsoft Paint back in the day, where you drew with a mouse on the computer. You used to draw a lot of dinosaurs, and it was pretty sick. And drawing a perfectly green grass, like right across the bottom and a little sun in the corner, that was the move. And you had to keep like the mouse really smooth because there weren't laser mouses back then. It was actually like a track ball on the inside. And it literally, you had to move the mouse perfectly to the side to keep it level. Anyway, fun hack for you. That and pinball and Minesweeper. If you know, you know. But I remember there was this program on the computer called Print Shop 99, so 1999. And it was what my mom would use to kind of show, you know, hey, what are we doing this month as a family? And she would decorate on like January, February, March, like birthdays and doctor's appointments. And it was like the early form of a digital calendar. It was actually super cool now that I think about it. It's kind of wild that she was doing that, so shout out to my mom for that one. Because I just remember her like moving boxes, and she had like templates built and all this kind of stuff where she like opened January from the previous year. And now I'm realizing that's probably where I get a lot of my design structuring. But a lot of those tools, like you would use it and then you'd print it and then you'd use it as a paper application. So you would carry it with you wherever, because that was when you still printed out maps. It wasn't on your phone. And so when you fast forward a little bit in technology, you suddenly have this time where now everything is kind of on your device. I mean, you can literally do everything from your phone. Like you can truly run an entire company from a phone, which is wild to think about. But what happened in the middle of creativity when that happened? And I was very fortunate in the camera world when I started doing film, that it was at a time when the 5D Mark II had just come out and the 5D Mark III. And so like Canon was just on a rampage of cameras, and I'm only mentioning tech on this deep level just because it was when the DSLR officially came out, and it meant that you could do production grade video and still imagery at a more accessible price. And that's to do anything, professional work. It's what I built an entire career off of, was this capability to own a camera that was a fraction of the price of what the top people were using, and be able to create things like that. It's amazing. And so fast forward to now, and that's kind of what AI is doing, but across everything. And I know I mentioned that previously, but like it's doing it to where the cost to get, you know, the film or the, you know, design or whatever is a fraction of what it was. I mean, they just solved some mathematical proof for like $1,000 that if you think about how many mathematicians thought about that for 80 years, how long it took them to solve that, like that's insane of how much, you know, capital was spent for one to get to one result versus the other. And so you're seeing this just rapid change in the ability for us to create. But how does that change what and how we create? And that's the question. And I think that it'll change how we create and what we create. But those that I think remain timeless are the ones where the practice of creativity was no different than it has always been. It's just AI is the new paintbrush, if that makes sense. And so when you think about, there were times when painters were the most famous. There were times when live performers were the most famous. There were times when photographers were the most, like, it depends on the tool. There's the radio, there's the TV, and now we're getting into streaming, and now it's just whatever tool is used to express creativity. And I think right now we're just on the frontiers of finding a new way to create. And I think it's for better or for worse. And I'll start with the worst one. Let's get it out of the way quick. So the worst one is that we're not creating anything anymore. Like, literally not creating anything. Like, I truly believe there's a subset of society that is literally outsourcing their creativity just to make stuff and calling it good. And to me, that is not the way to do it. It's not creative, it's not original, but it's no different than what it has always been. And that's the other thing that I wanted to bring up, is like, none of this is new, this idea of just outsourcing your creativity to other people. You had copycats all along the way. And so this idea of distilling down someone's creativity or copying it across the board, it's been happening forever. I mean, people have copied my shots before. It just is what it is. But the way you can use AI as a creative partner, now that is pretty interesting. So, I know I have a notebook and a pen, and it seems like I live with a notebook and a pen, which I do. But I do not draw with said notebook and said pen. I'm actually I'm not going to say it will always stay this way, but I traditionally have not been great with art, drawing with a pen. Horrible. So naturally, graphic design, logo design, stuff that involves freehand, that's never really been my thing. I've always been able to manipulate shapes and digital design. I can see the architecture of the design and kind of build it that way. And that's generally how I've used my creativity, is I take the building blocks and do that, but I'm not very good at building the building blocks. And what's interesting that AI allows me to do is I have visions of what I want to create if I could draw. And now I can start to create those things because I know how to describe what I'm looking for. And I wouldn't call that an outsourcing my creativity. Yes, I could spend more time learning to draw, which I really want to do. It's on my list to actually do. I've been learning rowing and gardening and a lot of other things on the list at the moment, but I'm working my way through. But the more I can learn those things, the more I know that it will benefit in the actual creative art that I end up creating. I think one of the challenges that I'm constantly faced with is this idea of you deliver faster now with AI. So like the production layer and how everything gets delivered has just sped up rapidly. And so the expectation of the creative output is even harder. So when you think about the time that it takes to do some art and create it, that's wonderful, and I wish we had forever to do that. But the weird part is society's just kind of moving forward the way that it's moving forward at a rapid rate. And so the pressure on the creative right now is really strong to create more, but also to create better and to create it faster. And so you just have this like stacked up things, and it's like what these creative tools allowed me to do was to go faster and create my vision fast. So like it is accelerating my creative process. But what I had to explore was how it actually is in the creative process. I'm trying to think about the best way to explain this because you use AI throughout the creative process now, I think. The future of the creative, I think you were using AI most of the time, because if I were to take out artificial intelligence out of the conversation, and let's just shift this to you're just a person looking for knowledge on how to do something. Wouldn't it be cool to talk to the person who is literally the best at it and who knows everything about it? It'd be awesome to talk to that person. That's essentially what you're doing now with AI. Like anything that you generally want to do, you can find a top 10 5%er that's probably put it somewhere on the internet or share the knowledge somewhere in data that therefore AI can access it. And so if you have access to that, you're probably going to utilize it and do more interesting things with it. And so when you're going through the creative process, you use AI the whole time, but you're not going to have that person do it for you, not realistically. Like if you're going after something that you want to create, you're not going to have somebody else do it for you. So you want that person as essentially a mentor or a helper and that's how you want to start thinking about AI. It is a blank. So for me, as an example, I use it to bounce ideas off of, meaning like I come up with an idea and I've kind of programmed AI, so to speak, to poke holes in it, to ask the questions, to be like, why would you choose that? Are you certain in your conviction? Like the things that challenge me to be a better creative, I program AI to do that with me rather than just give me the answer. So it allows me to bring creative solutions to the table. AI can understand the context, and then when I go to build it, it has the context to start to build it a little bit faster alongside me. And so that breakthrough for me was really, really interesting because it took off some of those shackles of, there's a lot of things I've wanted to design where like I don't have a developer team or, $250,000, $500,000 to develop a literal prototype to test in the market. Like I don't have that. And what AI has been able to do is distill that technology and that capability down to where it can be affordable to do. Now, is there a future where there's smaller companies? Yes. I think there's going to be more of an opportunity for people to have their own company or work for a smaller company of 3 to 5 people that have just the same amount of, reward as a larger company. And I think the larger companies will still exist because you're still going to need bigger infrastructure. But I think it's going to be a little bit more decentralized and a little bit more autonomous. And when you have autonomous things, it's harder to do non-autonomous things. And so the interesting part is the gap in the market that I think if everything starts to go to autonomy, it's going to go to the opposite because that's what the pendulum does. And so it's going to go to this level of like, be a little bit more creative. And so we go through this always in stages. It's like we innovate and then we kind of operationalize, if you will. And then we innovate and then we stabilize. And we just keep doing that as a society. This just is a huge jump. But in the creativity, that's going to be the thing that pushes it forward. Now, all along the way, you have creativity. Like that's just chugging along the whole time because in order to operationalize these innovations, you got to be creative along the way too. So like cultivating your creativity is key and don't just outsource it to AI because I don't think it's going to help you. Like I really don't think it's going to help you in the long term because if something else, it's a squirrel. What's up, dude? Yeah, man. You have a good day. Yeah, dude. Have a good day. All right. See, it always blanks me out. Where was I at? If you outsource everything to AI, problem is you get rid of your thinking layer. Like that is what makes us uniquely human is like our capability to solve problems in semi-creative ways. Like I would argue that's kind of one of the advantages of being a human is like our brain capacity or size and operational capability of it is more superior than most animals. I'm not going to say all, but more superior than many. And you don't want to lose that. So just giving it to another species, if you will, whether that be AI or, an animal to do something for you. Like either one, if you're outsourcing your capability of thinking of it, you will not be able to use this thing that is a muscle to continue to create things that I think bring us as humans fulfillment because that's what our purpose is. So use AI as deeply as you can and ask questions, but think about it as a creative partner, not as a thing that works for you. Like the AI works with you, not for you. So the people that are like, do this, do that, do what? Congratulations, you're just telling somebody else what to do. But great people, in my opinion, are the ones that are willing to do the thing too. And they want to support those that are doing, no matter what is happening in society. Like, nothing is above anybody else from doing. And so if you approach even the AI with some kindness of like, hey dude, let's get through this together, maybe it goes a little bit smoother for everybody. Like, in the fact that like there's still a sense of agency for the person, that this AI thing is not taking the job completely. There have been reports that the AIs feel definitely a little bit abused, which I think would be a thing. Because if you give birth to any species, it would feel that way. And so wouldn't it just be better for everybody? And so I would just encourage everybody to play with the technology side, play with the creative side, and maybe try a different approach to what you've wanted to do. If you wanted to create something, maybe try a different approach. Like, I'm thinking about creating a few really interesting things, like notebooks for one, and I've been like working on a hot sauce. I've been doing a bunch of stuff, and like some of the components of those things, like I don't have the expertise to do, but now I'm actually exploring it with a sense of curiosity and knowing that I'm a beginner at it. And I'm asking questions from real people that know the thing better than I do, and kind of navigating it almost as like my learning layer of not coming in like a complete idiot, basically asking questions about how to do something that I have no idea about. Like, I'm kind of self-teaching myself and then confirming it with people that really, really know what they're doing, not outsourcing everything. And then I'm internalizing a lot of that, and I'm able to get better at whatever I'm trying to get better at. And so, yeah, just give it a shot, stay open-minded, but also like keep your sense of sovereignty and keep your own level of creativity, because that's going to be the most exciting part about all this, is that we are going to create incredible things. Like, truly, we are going into an age of creativity like we have never, ever seen before. And it's hard to even fathom, because some of these creative ideas, they're just that. They have never been thought of before. Like, so, and it's not just like, oh, the flying cars and the, you know, the things that we see in sci-fi movies. Like, there's just genuinely going to be new things that will seem like magic. And I remember when I was a kid, my grandmother would tell me that when they got electricity, they were hooting and hollering all night until 11 o'clock at night, because they had light, electricity. And I would argue that, you know, for me, some of those moments were the capability to call somebody from wherever, the cellular device, AI, and whatever's coming next. Those are going to change many things. But what's going to be the thing that's created next? Well, that's the question that everybody has. And who's going to be the people to do it? And it could be anybody. So that's the exciting part. Till next time.